Hello everybody, my name is Infinity and welcome to day 10 of Vlogust. If you don't know, I am the face and the voice behind all the content under Infinity Crafting Co. So anytime you see that name on the web, it is me 9 times out of 10. Alright, today's topic will be how do I price my projects? So this is something that a lot of people who just starting out selling, they struggle with because they don't quite have, a lot of people don't quite have the concept of, okay, what's the perfect price for a specific item? And of course different people have varying opinions on how to calculate things. There are 4 that are pretty typical amongst crafters, and I don't know, I think I've kind of, sort of tried them all except for the second one. I have them written down because I forget. So, the first method, usually when people start out crocheting, they charge for their materials times 3. So, this method, I mean, it can work. This is a method that I started out with way back when, and at the time I thought it feasible. You know, I wasn't shipping, I didn't have a website per se or a platform that I was selling on. I was selling in person, and so, you know, I was like, okay, my materials times 3. So the only problem I really found with that was that, okay, if I'm making a hat and I use a $3 skein of yarn and I times it by 3, essentially I am getting paid for the materials I took off my shelf, getting paid to replace them, and then I am paying for my labor out of that. So, you know, at some point I was like, you know what, $3 for my labor sounds a little meh. So eventually I sat up and I reevaluated how I priced my things, and I still feel like I fairly price my items. Some people beg to differ, but that's their opinion. Alright, that second method that is common among crafters is the per hour method. So, you know, this method is a little trickier, and I never tried it because, well, how do I say this? I don't sit up and time myself crocheting like that. Like after the first couple of hours of progress, I'm like, oh, I sit up and I can guesstimate about how much longer it'll take, but I don't just sit up and like, okay, set a crochet timer and crochet for 2 hours and then charge like that. I don't do that, but it works for some people, and that's perfectly okay with them. You know, they feel like they're getting their money's worth. I don't have much comment on that method. If it works for you, it works for you. It's just another option on the list. My third method is the classic materials times 3 plus hourly. Now this one I moved to from that first method, and I found this a little more favorable because as the entrepreneur, the craftpreneur, I was able to set my own minimum wage, which was great. And then, like I said, I got the cost of my materials back, and, you know, and as I've said in the previous video, if a custom order was like really dark colors, like super deep purple and then black, I have an upcharge for that because, again, these eyes need to be compensated too. So that method works relatively well actually, because, you know, say again that same hat, if you're just crocheting by hand and maybe you make a hat in an hour, and okay, you're like, okay, say your per hour rate is $12, okay, so that's 12, and then if it was $3 yarn, 3 times 3 is 9, so you add that 3 and that 9 and you're good. But this doesn't factor in the other stuff that comes in with like online selling. So that brings me to my fourth method, which I kind of actually use more so now than I used to, which is your materials times 3 plus hourly and then your business expenses. Now this sounds really staggering to people who don't craft or don't sell because it sounds like it's going to add up to be a lot, but, you know, you have to be able to cover yourself. So if you have your own website and your e-commerce platform doesn't charge you fees to sell on there, it's good as gold, you know. You can charge whatever you want and you just deal with your additional costs how you want to. But if you are on an online marketplace like Etsy or eBay, they take a commission out of your sales. So that's why, you know, I personally don't have like super low price things, because those fees add up and they can kind of kick your butt. So what you want to take into account here, if you're selling on some kind of platform or if you're running a website and you are trying to you know, make your money back from your domain and all that, you want to do the materials times 3 plus your labor plus your business expenses. So, you know, that comes in with the packaging and the shipping, and if you ship from a P.O. box, you want to count that in. I know I do. And just to make sure that you're covered, so by the time that those bills come through for your business, you know, you're not in a deficit or in the hole anywhere. And I find this method particularly favorable. So it's just like, say my long scarves, for instance. So, oh no, let's not do the long scarves. Let's talk about the hats. Because when I first started crocheting, I would crochet hats and I was like $10. Just flat rate, $10. And at that time, with the way I was working, it was working for me. But then, you know, I started evolving as a crafter. So, you know, there are other things that I was taking into account. So eventually I went up to like 12 or 15 per hat. Or they would range from 10 to 15 depending on the type of hat. And again, like I said, that those two methods that I used, method 1 and method 3, they were helpful in their time, but they weren't quite compensating me for the things that I, you know, was trying to do. So by the time I actually started on Etsy, first of all, when I first started, I had no clue what I was doing. But over the years, I have learned, over the few sales that I've made on Etsy, that okay, they're going to come through, they're going to take commission and their additional fees, have to pay for shipping, the shipping supplies, depends on the shipping supplies. Like, you know, you can get free shipping supplies from USPS, no big deal, but sometimes their packaging is a little pricier. So you want to kind of do your checks and balances and see what kind of shipping supplies work for you. So personally, I buy my own. You know, I go to the store, go to Walmart, I get the craft paper or the polymer shipping bags. For the most part, I don't usually ship in boxes. I haven't done that really since I started doing giveaways, but anyway, so you want to calculate all that in. If you're running your own website, you want to calculate, you know, how much is your website per year and what other underlying fees do you have to deal with when it comes to running your online thing. And that allows you to add in your little surcharges as needed, you know, so that you can continue to function. So there, you know, and it's a lot of initial thinking. I think if people first establish how they want to price their things before they dive into selling them, I think that saves a lot of headache. And like I said, probably day 2 of Vlogust, why I don't do why do I sell online, you know, it's concrete. You are online, it's like a actual store, either they buy it or they don't, and you're not stuck at the end of the day with product that people don't want to buy, or don't want to like pay for after they've commissioned it or something like that. It's like done deal, which again, like I said, has become my favorite thing in the last few years. So I hope that this kind of gave you a little bit of insight or a little bit of help. This wasn't a community question. This is just one of my topics that I wanted to cover, because again, I feel like a lot of potential crafterpreneurs, you know, they're like stuck in that area, and you know, nobody wants to be stuck there. So any kind of advice that I can think of, that I can give, I would love to give them. Like I said, if you don't know, I've been crocheting for 7 years and knitting for 5-ish, so you know, I've also been selling my stuff for a while, mostly offline, recently online. And so I think those collective experiences kind of gave me some, what am I trying to say? Some kind of insight, you know, some kind of insight. And, you know, so far, out of the people who have actually purchased my items, I haven't had any complaints. You know, and you might want to do test runs with your products. Like, if you sold in person and people just kind of rant and rave over them and just absolutely love your stuff, then, you know, that's even more of a reinforcement to charge what you charge. Like I said, your options are really all up to you. And don't ever apologize for what you feel like your projects are worth, because at the end of the day, that's you. And I am so sorry if an artist... In general, if an artist can tape a freaking banana to a wall and sell it off for $120,000 and somebody actually buys it, I can charge, you know, $40 for a scarf that took me over an hour to crank out and use my materials and things like that. So, you know, just my little thought bubble there. Non-aggressive, completely non-aggressive. But you do have to stand your ground, because you will have people, especially if you do custom commissions, you will have people who will challenge you and be like, oh, well, this is too expensive. And then, you know what, I am on forums, and I've read some horror stories, and people are like, you know what, this person messages me every day saying that my prices are too expensive. And you know what, that's annoying. Now, I don't want to say you can come to a point where your things are too expensive, but you can also, you know, go and do market research and things like that. Like, okay, what's your niche? What's the average price of items in your niche that you're trying to, you know, sell in? And then you can kind of do some math in there and figure some things out. Like, okay, what's up here? What's down here? And you kind of want to, depending on what you're trying to brand, you want to be somewhere in that mid-range, high mid-range, something like that. At least in my fair opinion. So I hope today's video was helpful or insightful in some kind of way. If you're on Instagram watching this, don't forget to give this video a heart. And don't forget to go back to my profile and like my page, because I will be doing Vlogust again for the rest of the month. And so you're not going to want to miss out on my tips and community questions. Also, if you have questions, just feel free to send them my way. I would look forward to making those videos and answering your questions as they come in. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and notification bell so you don't miss out on my future videos. Not only do I post these channel chat type videos, but I also post tutorials if you're new here. And until tomorrow, guys, happy making!